I was reaching for a bag of oranges. That's all I was doing. Just reaching into a pile of navel oranges that had been stacked neatly near the edge of the produce section at Hillstone Market. It was a regular Tuesday in late spring sunlight, slanting through the automatic doors, the hum of refrigeration units blending with the soft chatter of grocery store life. And in the middle of it, a voice cut through the air like a cracked whip. "People like you don't belong here." The words hit me before I even turned around. There's a certain tone you learn to recognize when you've spent your life being measured in ways that have nothing to do with your worth. I didn't need to see his face to know the kind of man who said it. But when I did turn, when I looked him in the eye, I saw exactly what I expected: a white man in a navy polo and khakis, badge clipped to his belt, arms folded across his chest like he was guarding a kingdom. He looked young to me, maybe mid-30s, like someone who still thought his job gave him moral authority over the air you breathe. And for a second, just a second, the entire store paused. You could feel it. The mother with the toddler in the cart suddenly pushed a little faster toward the dairy aisle. A young stock boy holding a bunch of bananas froze in place. The rhythm of the beeping registers slowed, like even the machines were waiting to see what would happen. I didn't say anything right away, not because I didn't have something to say, but because I've learned the value of silence. A well-placed pause can carry more power than 100 shouted words. I looked down at the bag of oranges in my hand, then back up at him, and I thought to myself, here we go again. My name is Walter Dean. I served in the 101st Airborne during the tail end of the Vietnam War. I was 19 when I first held a rifle in the jungle, 21 when I came back home and learned the war hadn't ended, had just changed uniforms. I've been a welder, a bus driver, a high school janitor, and for the last 12 years, I've been living in this little corner of Houston, just trying to enjoy my retirement with some dignity. And this man, this officer with a sharp jaw and narrowed eyes, looked at me like I was a threat to be contained, not a neighbor picking up produce. "You should have stayed where you came from," he said, louder this time. The words carried, bouncing off the metal shelves and into the ears of every shopper within 10 feet. Still, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse. I didn't even frown. I just set the bag of oranges gently into my cart and turned fully to face him. "You know," I said, "I've heard that before." He didn't flinch, not at first, but his jaw tightened just a hair, and I could tell wasn't used to being challenged. "I heard it in '68. I continued, "when I came home wearing a uniform soaked in jungle sweat, a Purple Heart in my duffel bag, and some man at a diner told me I couldn't sit at the same counter as the guy whose life I saved." I saw the cashier shift at her register. Her hands hovered over the keypad like she didn't know whether to keep scanning or call someone. "I heard it in '75, I said, "when I applied for a welding job I was overqualified for, and watched a guy who barely finished high school get it instead, because his handshake looked like theirs." Now the officer's arms uncrossed. He wasn't talking anymore, wasn't interrupting, just staring. And I let him. I let him feel that weight. I heard it when I bought my first house, when I walked into a polling place, when I walked down the wrong street at the wrong time. I even heard it in the locker room with men I would have taken a bullet for. I took a step forward. Not fast, not aggressive, just deliberate, measured. "So when you say that to me here in this store, in this city, in the country I damn near died defending, what exactly do you think you're telling me that I haven't already heard?" He blinked, just once, but it was enough. Enough to show the shift. "You think you're the first man to look at me and try to make me feel small? Like I don't belong?" He didn't answer. His fingers twitched near the belt loop on his pants. He looked like a man who was used to being in control and suddenly realized he wasn't. "You think your words are new? That they carry weight? Let me tell you something about weight." I took another step, close enough that I could lower my voice. "Weight is carrying a rifle across a jungle at 19, wondering if your name will even get spelled right on the memorial wall. Weight is watching your brothers come home in boxes, only to have their names left out of the history books. Wade is standing under a flag that waves over buildings you weren't allowed to walk into. And then, for the first time, he looked away. It wasn't dramatic. Just a flicker. A half-second glance toward the tile floor. But I saw it. I let the silence hang there a moment longer before I leaned in just slightly and said, "What you said to me today? It isn't new. It isn't bold. It isn't even original." I tilted my head. "It's just tired." He swallowed. The kind of dry swallow you can hear from across a room. I could tell he wanted to say some anything, but couldn't quite find the words. I didn't wait. I just turned back to my cart and started pushing it toward the checkout lanes. My legs felt steady. My chest felt light. Not because I won something. This wasn't about winning. It was about speaking. About making sure the air carried something truer than hate. As I reached lane 4, the young cashier who'd been watching the whole thing straightened up. She scanned my items in silence for a while, then said quietly, "That was something back there." I looked at her, saw the way her hands trembled just a little. "Yeah," I said, "it was. I've never seen anyone handle something like that with that kind of grace." I nodded, took the bag from her hands. "Sometimes," I said, "grace is the only thing that gets through." She nodded back, slowly, eyes wide, like she'd just watched something shift inside her own understanding of the world. I was halfway out the doors when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow at first, then quicker. I didn't turn, just kept walking. "Wait," the voice called. It was him, the officer. He caught up and stood just behind me, his shadow stretching long under the evening sun filtering through the glass. I turned slowly, giving him a chance. He looked different now, shoulders lowered, arms uncrossed, eyes unsure. "I didn't mean," he started, then stopped. I waited. "You said something about wait. I guess I never thought about it that way." I studied him for a long moment. Then I said, "It's not about whether you thought about it before. It's about what you do with it now." He nodded. Just once. A slow, heavy nod. And I turned again, stepped into the last stretch of daylight. My cart wheels hummed against the sidewalk. I didn't look back. Because this moment wasn't about changing him. It was about making sure the next time he opened his mouth like that, he'd remember mine. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. If you made it this far, I want to ask you something. What do you think real change looks like? Is it an apology? Is it silence broken? Or is it the quiet pause when someone finally hears a truth they can't unhear? Let me know down in the comments. I want to hear your story too. And if this made you feel something, share it. Someone else might need to hear it more than you know.